President Trump is riding higher than ever before, and support for the Mueller probe is sliding. Imagine if the press was actually fair about this, where these numbers would be. So here's a question for you. Is the time right for the president to voluntarily submit to an interview with Mueller to get this thing wrapped up? Well, who better to answer that question but the president's lawyer himself, Rudy Giuliani. Great to see you. How are you? So lots of news. You know, President looked great in Singapore, no doubt about it. He came back in a great mood. However, of course, you come back and it's like right when he comes back, a few hours go by, and the news about Michael Cohen perhaps cooperating with authorities. What's your reaction to it?
I checked into this last night. It's not so. He's not cooperating, nor do we care, because the president did nothing wrong. We're very comfortable if he cooperates that there's nothing he can cooperate about with regard to President Trump. I am absolutely certain of that from everything I know about that investigation, including the things that Rosenstein said to President Trump himself, that he's not involved in that investigation. My concern is that the Mueller investigation now is going on interminably, and I think it is reflected in public opinion. Public opinion is disgusted with how about he's wasted $20 million. Maybe he should put out an interim report. Maybe he should tell us what he's got on collusion. I don't have anything on collusion. Obstruction of justice is really totally negated by the Article 2 of the Constitution. The president can fire anybody he wants for any reason he wants. They can't even inquire about that. I don't know what he's got left. He's harassing Michael Cohen. The Manafort case looks like it's falling apart.
Well, they always cite, well, yes, like 20. Okay. You know, it's 20.
You take out
guilty pleas.
You take out the Manafort case, which may go out on lack of authorization, and now this ridiculous witness tampering thing. I can't even figure it out. Second, you got the Russians that are all in Russia. They're not coming to the U.S. That's a phony indictment. Nobody's ever going to get prosecuted, and they were harassing Hillary rallies by dressing up like clowns. We had a lot worse than that.
Have you asked the special counsel's office why they haven't brought certain people in for questioning? I mean, if they're going to focus on this Trump Tower meeting, as we know that's part of their focus, why wouldn't they bring in the Russian attorney who they make this big pitch for? Oh, she's close to Putin. She was trying to, you know.
Maybe because she said nothing happened.
Well, that's what she said. Not only that, but she said she would be happy to come into the United States. Veselnitskaya. She'd be happy to come. Look, and they're not calling her
Here's
in.
one of the things we pulled out very early in this. Mueller can't indict anybody. President can't be indicted. A sitting president cannot be indicted. Nobody disputes that. And he's not. So he gets to write a report, maybe. May not even get to write a report. Rosenstein may have to write the report. So let's just get it over with. He's gotten 1.4 million documents, 32 witnesses. We've raised no executive privilege about any of it, unlike Clinton, unlike Nixon. He's got the material from which to write a report right now, except the report would say, no evidence of collusion on the part of President Trump.
He wants to get into state of mind of what the president was thinking when he fired Comey. It's a state of mind question,
that becomes
correct?
A guessing game, and I think he gets.
But he can't do that until he gets the president across the table or written answers.
He's not getting the president on any kind of obstruction of justice questioning. Just not going to happen. His whole theory is cockamamie. His whole theory is, I can interpret. The president may have 5 reasons, all of which are legitimate, plus an Article 2 immunity to do what he's doing. And I think he really did it for a corrupt reason. So I'm going to recommend that he did something wrong. Plus, his main witness there is Comey. And I don't know the Horowitz report in detail. I think it's going to be a tough one. It's 500 pages.
And the president has seen it, or he's seen
Tomorrow at 3 or 4.
He gets it before. Does he get it before other people?
I hope he gets an unedited version of it without all the excising that they do, because I think that's where the juicy stuff will be. You and I might not get to see that. We can guess at it. But at a minimum, we know already from the leaks, and you wonder how do these leaks take place, that it's going to criticize him heavily for his first Hillary press conference, for his second Hillary press conference.
And so that goes to the credibility of how he handled the Russian investigation
usurped
in your
the
mind.
Responsibility of the Attorney General. You know that. He became the Attorney General. He's not the Attorney General. He's the director of the FBI. It's like the chief detective deciding whether to prosecute or not. He wrote the report 2 months before. I asked Mueller when we met with him if he would do that for us. How about writing the report now and giving it to us? He said, no, that would be an improper investigation.
When are you going to determine the issue of providing written answers
in the next
or limited questioning?
Very quickly. We're addressing that now with the president. Jay and the Raskins and we're all working on it. And
is there a dispute among you about how to proceed? I mean, that's healthy to have a dispute.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Yeah.
But all of us know he shouldn't testify unless we get everything we want and he wants. Remember, you know him. He wants to testify. His complaint is, I did nothing wrong. I can stand up to any questioning. What he doesn't realize is how pernicious they are.
No, they're really good lawyers. I mean, they're really good lawyers.
And they're also disreputable, unethical lawyers.
And a number of them have already shown a bias and an animus against this president.
How about the ones that have already been cited for ethical violations, for not turning over exculpatory material? You think I'm going to trust them with the President of the United States? Are you
talking about who would do the questioning? Are you getting into that level of detail with him?
I think it should be Mueller, right? I mean,
Mueller himself.
It wasn't
Ken Starr. Remember, it was Saul Weisenberg.
Ken was an appellate lawyer. I was a trial lawyer. And he was a trial lawyer. So it's his reputation at stake. Shouldn't be turned over to Quarles. Shouldn't be turned over to Weiss.
Are you guys worried that there are any tape recordings that Michael Cohen might have in his possession of conversations with the president or about the president that either he could have exaggerated things to other people to like curry favor or to look like he's bigger than he is? I'm not saying he did that, but you don't know what you guys don't know. You have some of the documents, but you don't have all the documents, correct? Right. That was turned over to the Southern District of New York that they seized.
Right.
So you're looking at him for privilege. I
got something better than that. I know the president for 30 years. I know him as a businessman in New York. President of the United States was a tough businessman, but just like he's done nothing wrong in this thing, he was as clean as a whistle in the way he might have been tough. He might have been difficult on situations, like he was with North Korea, but he was a man of his word. And Michael Cohen, I think, would tell you he's got nothing incriminating with the president. And really, they should stop going after him. They're torturing the guy. I mean, and they're
trying to you're a former prosecutor. They threatened to bankrupt you, or you know you will be bankrupt. He's switched lawyers. He's trying to find a new lawyer. We don't know what that means. I don't know. I didn't know his legal team before. But
he's not.
High bills pile up real fast.
Of course they do. And
you go to jail for 10 years.
And the reality is they're trying to frighten him. But Michael's a tough guy. I don't think that's going to happen. And if it does, he surely isn't going to lie.
Eric Swalwell, a frequent critic, Democrat on the relevant committee, said this.
Innocent people don't worry about whether someone's going to flip on them. And also, Wolf, let's just be real, honest presidents don't have fixers. And I think, we're so in the thick of this that when you take a step back and realize every day we talk about Mr. Cohen is Donald Trump's fixer, that's a problem. Innocent people don't need fixers. Innocent people fix things by just shooting straight and telling the truth. And so I think this is the beginning of a dark, dark storm coming to presidents.
Yeah, Avenatti was basically saying the same thing.
Well, come on. First of all, fixer means somebody who can get things done. People hire them in New York. They call them expediters to get their building permit.
So, they also don't know lingo. They don't know New York lingo.
Michael said I was Ray Donovan. I was a fixer. What he meant by that was I expedited things. Yeah. I got them done, not illegally. Nobody's ever really said anything about that until now. And this idea that a president who is perfectly innocent, has done nothing wrong, isn't going to be framed by somebody when they donated 36 grand to Hillary's campaign, we're at her victory/defeat party, cried the night she lost. Hey, these are guys that already have been cited for not turning over exculpatory evidence about innocent people. And this idiot congressman wants me to trust him? Look, I've been a lawyer a long time. That kid doesn't know what he's talking about.
Are you...
Thank God he's not representing anybody.
Are you also going to make an argument about the underlying constitutionality of the special counsel in this process?
Both on its face and as applied. Because on its face...
The statute, just the statute.
The statute itself.
Yeah.
And second, the fact that it was produced by what might have been a totally illegal counterintelligence investigation that they tried to make into a criminal investigation. And clearly by the Comey memo, we have to see what Horowitz says tomorrow. Like Professor Calabrese said, that memo could blow the whole thing up.
Why is Kellyanne Conway's husband, George, I've known him for 30 years. He's a close friend. He's brilliant. We thought he might be SG at the Justice Department. He would have made a great one. He's written an article for The Hill, I think it was in The Hill, where he basically said this argument about the unconstitutionality of the statute. He just smashes Calabrese's argument. He says it's absurd. No serious legal scholar buys into the appointments clause argument here, and he just destroys it. And he's Kellyanne's husband. Is there any concern about that at the White House?
No concern about it. I mean, people aren't. Look,
husbands and wives don't have to agree on everything, by the way. I mean,
that is not as clear an argument as, let's say, their inability to indict, even their inability to subpoena, if it intrudes Article 2.
You guys already written the briefs on that?
Well, more or less, yeah.
More or less done. Already done. Yeah, I figured.
However, I would think if it's an undecided question. So how can Conway decide the question? He's on this. Maybe he wants to be on the Supreme Court, but I don't think he's going to get the appointment.
I was like, well, George is like a...
George is not getting on the Supreme Court. I think I can predict that.
Is there concern about, just going back to Cohen for a moment, I know, because I've had clients like this, where their screws are put to them. And this is where I'm not as big a fan of prosecutors as, we love you, Rudy, but I'm not as big a fan of prosecutors as some conservatives are, because with unbridled power, unchecked power becomes abuse of discretion.
Sure, I agree with that.
From Patrick Fitzgerald, what happened with people like Conrad
Seems like a little group, right?
Yeah, well, it's like 4 people.
Fitzgerald, Comey, big pal of Mueller's.
Yeah.
Weissman.
Now working for it. Now Patrick Fitzgerald is Comey's
representing
attorney.
Comey.
Yeah, so
who's I think going to go down tomorrow.
Yeah, Scooter Libby, all the rest of it. So when someone like Cohen has the screws, or anybody has the screws turned on him, like, you're going to lose your family, you're going to be in jail for 10 years, you're going to do this. What are you going to give us? Tell us. You're going to tell us. People freak out. I mean, that's what the power of prosecutors do.
I empathize greatly with Michael. I do not believe he is going to tell a falsehood. And I think he's going to tell the truth. And we are very comfortable with that. The president is very comfortable with it. He's known him for years.
But what if he's in trouble on another matter? What if he's in trouble on something else?
He'll deal with it. And I think...
And I have no idea whether he is. I'm just
and nor do I. Yeah. And I still trust in him until they show me something to the contrary. And I haven't seen it yet.
Reports are that he's upset that he hasn't... Obviously, he can't talk to the president now because of all... But reports are that he's feeling all alone out there, which is also a hard...
The president feels that way, too, but we advise him, Jay and I advise the president, that would be misunderstood.
No. He can't pick up the phone.
From representing... You would tell your client all the time, don't talk to this one. Look at Manafort. Manafort probably was totally innocent in talking to these people. You want to find out about his case, and they've turned it into another charge against him because their first charge is going under.
What's your best guess about when this thing will be decided about the testimony? Because... that's it. I mean, everything you hear from Mueller, they've interviewed pretty much everything they've wanted.
So I believe we will decide, unless something goes wrong. And look, we've had a couple of things go wrong. The Cohen situation, the Spygate situation. But if nothing else breaks like that, possibly this Horowitz thing, that may delay us. I don't know. It is 500 pages.
Right.
But we should get it done in the next week or two.
Get
the decision done.
Okay.
Which means then we go to battling over a subpoena or getting him ready for a small, tailored, limited interview.
150 subpoenas, blank subpoenas. This leaked, this came out late today. Mueller has requested. What could that be about, do you think? Is that that's a mind game he's playing with you guys? Okay, there's more people coming in. Look, it's never going to end.
Frankly, if it's a mind game, it works the opposite way. At this late stage, if he's issuing 150 subpoenas,
what have they been
doing?
Got nothing. What have they been doing for the last year?
Where's the collusion? Where's the obstruction? Except in their head. So if they got to do 150 subpoenas at this point, everybody knows this. They have no case because Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong.
When you talked to Cohen or back a year ago or so, I don't know if you heard about when he was going to try to get that Trump Tower Moscow done. They had all these business interests all over the country. He didn't drop this stuff when he ran for president. And he wanted to get that done. Reportedly had written a note to Putin saying, this thing is a logjam here. What's going to happen? It didn't go anywhere. But that's always listed in the 1 or 2 or 3 Russian interest contacts that Cohen made. Are you aware of this? Have you been discussing this with the legal
we're aware
team?
Of it, and we think it has no connection.
Was it green-lighted by candidate Trump?
I can't tell you that. That would be a confidence. But the reality is, it wouldn't matter. Nothing came of it. Nothing went. There was no quid pro quo for it. In essence, if the president had colluded, which he didn't, the president will tell you for the 2 years up to the election, I didn't talk to any Russians. I don't know any Russians. I don't.
He doesn't drink,
Russian.
so he didn't order a White Russian.
No, and I don't drink vodka with them. Yeah. So what the hell are they talking about? What they're talking about is they're bitter over losing this election. And some of the people right in Mueller's office were the ones crying like babies the night that Hillary lost. They are trying to delegitimize him.
The president said that he regrets not being able to have a better relationship with Russia because of all of this.
Well, that's a national security collateral damage of this investigation. Thank God he was able to do Korea. Thank God he's a man of discipline and he could do Korea.
Rudy Giuliani.
Thank you.
Always great to see you, my friend. Good to see you.